Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Inkwell Remix. My name is John, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 Poorcana cards in Wilds Unknown. I will be doing some more Poorcana deck build videos, but probably not until Attack of the Vine comes out and we get set rotation, which will bring in a whole new selection of cards we can and can't use in Core Constructed. Now, before we get into the top 10 list, here are some honourable mentions. Will-o'-the-Wisp and Mickey Mouse, I think, are going to be mainstays in any aggressively slanted Amethyst deck, perhaps an Amber Amethyst one taking advantage of Grandmother Willow. And we've got the Witch, Wily Woodcarver, and Fat Cat Felonious Feline. I do love some alliteration, and these cards are really good as well. Both powerful bodies with useful lore amounts and the occasional good ability. I think they will both find homes in some of the more mid-rangey, slightly grindy decks that both Emerald and Steel can do so well. All four of these are excellent cards, but they don't quite make our top 10. And without further ado, here's number 10. Starting off, we have Ham Piggybank. Now, he is a very good card. Cost reduction is powerful. It lets an Amber deck imitate a Sapphire one. But Ham just isn't quite as good as Grandmother Willow. She's the all-star, the standout from last set. And so Ham, whilst useful, only comes in at number 10 on our list because he's always going to lose out in a one-on-one battle with Granny Willow. That being said, he is an inkable 2-drop and a 2/3 body, so he's got better stats and inkable compared to the Granny, but exerting to use his ability just isn't as powerful. So all in all, Ham is a very good card. I think he will be the absolute backbone of some very aggressive Amber decks combined with Granny Willow. They'll use those to really slam cards onto the board quickly. But he's not quite top 5 material. So that's why he comes in at number 10 on our list. Now, number 9, we have Wee Dingwall's Scrappy Lad. And he's going to be good in any deck that runs Steel because he's just an incredibly solid character. 3/4 for 3 inkable is on par, it's about on curve, but the Challenger +2 makes him really strong. Being able to swing as a 5/4, take out things much larger than he is, Dingwall is well worth his value. So I think any Steel deck will be quite happy to see this guy. He's not the most exciting, but he's always going to do a job. Coming in at number 8, we have Bashful Riding the Rails. Another card that's not insanely exciting, but just really good. Any Amethyst deck is going to be happy to play a 3/6 with 2 lore and evasive. The 6th willpower is particularly relevant. It's going to be extremely hard for anyone to challenge Bashful off in a single hit. And when you're having 2 or more cards having to swing into your 1, you are definitely getting value. So I think any Amethyst deck will certainly consider playing Bashful. He's very good. And if you can curve him into Lumpy on turn 6, that's going to be even better. At number 7, we have 3 Arrows. And this is going to be a good, solid card in any Steel deck. Sadly not a song, but still powerful. 2 damage to chosen character, and then 1 damage to another chosen character. Notably, you could use it on your own characters if you wanted. If you found some sort of crazy Madrigal synergy and you just need a little bit of damage, this might be an option, but I don't think Sapphire Steel Madrigals are going to take off anytime soon. That being said, 3 Hours is still a really good card. Being able to take 3 damage and spread it around where you want is always going to be useful. Not as strong without the legendary Merida, of course, but still a good card. I think plenty of Steel decks will find use for this. Coming in at 6, we have Firefly Swarm, and this is just a straight upgrade on the old all-star that was Brawl. Now, its first mode is technically slightly worse than Brawl, because you're banishing a chosen character with 2 power or less, just like Brawl, but for a 3 uninkable. Not as good. But the second ability is incredible. If 2 or more other cards were put into your graveyard this turn, banish chosen character. So on the worst case, it's an uninkable Brawl. Not terrible. In best case, it's a 3-cost Dragonfire, and that is really good. I'm not sure it's a card you want to play on turn 3. You're probably going to want to hold it until later in the game when you can set up the 2 or more cards in your discard, but I think this is going to be a very powerful card, and almost any deck that plays Ruby is going to value this. Coming at 5, we have another Ruby All-Star in the form of Dash Pass Super Speedy. Now, he's doing a very good impression of being a Maui demigod from back in set 1. He's not inkable the way Maui was, which is a bit of a drawback, but he does have 1 lore, so he's not going to be stuck on board flexing the way Maui used to be once he dealt with all the immediate problems. And a 6/5 with Rush, always going to be strong. Drops down, deals with almost any threat you can imagine, and has a decent chance of surviving to do it again next turn. Worst comes to worst, he wins one challenge and then does some questing. I really like Dash, and once again, I think he's going to be good in pretty much any Ruby deck, but particularly any of the grindy Ruby decks, perhaps a Ruby Sapphire items kind of deck that could really use a heavy hitter to keep the board clear. Dash will do a great job in a deck like that. And number 4, we have 3 in a row for Ruby. We have Jebediah Farnsworth Cookie. Now, this is the first of the Wilds Unknown Poorcana cards that's been seeing serious constructed play. A 3/3 for 2 inkable is perfectly on curve, nothing wrong with that. But the fact that he's evasive is what makes him crazy. Such a good answer to so many cards. Particularly in Poorcana, where we don't have quite as many options for getting rid of pesky evasive cards, Jebediah is going to absolutely do a job for you. Reckless is a bit of a downside. You know he's going to go crashing into something at some point, and it's going to be pretty soon. But at least he's evasive, so you can take out things like Pegasus. He's definitely a card that needs careful handling. You don't want to drop him on turn 2 and watch him get beaten up by your opponent's Buzz Lightyear, for example. But I think he's a really useful card, and if he's not applicable in the situation, ink him. Simple, straightforward, effective. That's why we love Jebediah. Now, top 3. I wonder if I've managed to pick the same ones as you did. Coming in at number 3, it is Card Advantage. Friends on the Other Side was an amazing song. Probably one of the most powerful cards back in set 1. Card Advantage isn't a song, but it is 1 ink cheaper, and I don't think the clause is terrifically difficult if an opposing character was banished in a challenge this turn. This is Poorcana. Lots of stuff in Poorcana goes down on the board between you. There's going to be challenges. Characters are going to get banished. So why not profit from something you're going to do anyway and draw some cards? Really strong card. Once again, I don't think there's a particular deck that this is going to be played in. It's going to be good in more or less any steel deck. They don't get a lot of card draw themselves, so the fact that this now exists, it's going to really help out all steel decks, at least in my opinion. Number 2, we have Casa Madrigal Courtyard. I love this card. I think she's so good. The 4-drop locations actually have a history of being quite good in Lorcana. We've got the Queen's Castle. We've got Macduck Manor. Both of those were absolute powerhouses back in Inklands. And Casa Madrigal is a worthy continuer of the tradition. 4 ink, 7 willpower, 2 lore. That's great by itself. And the ability is really good too. Whenever a character quests while here, remove up to 2 damage from the character. Great. But you also may remove up to 2 damage from the location. So unless your opponent can clean out Casa Madrigal in a single turn, taking probably 2 or 3 challenges to get through 7 willpower, then if it's not finished, you put your characters in, you quest next turn, and heal Casa up at the same time. It's just such a good card. Getting 2 lore a turn and absorbing so many of your opponent's resources. Got to love Casa Madrigal. And of course, it's at 4 ink, which makes it perfectly set up to come down on turn 3 in a Sapphire deck after Tipo, after Sail the Azurite Sea, and then it's going to dominate the board for 3 or 4 turns before your opponent can get the power to banish it. I really love Casa Madrigal. It's not the best card in the set, but it's darn close. And it's a common. That's just mad. But anyway, Casa Madrigal only makes number 2 in our list. The drum roll, please. Number 1, the best card in Wilds Unknown, at least for Poorcana, is Merryweather Feisty Fairy. Proving once and for all that blue is just better than pink, Merryweather is by far the strongest card in Poorcana Wilds Unknown. A 4/5 for 4 inkable is good enough by itself. I would quite happily play a character with that stat line. And then they gave her the most broken keyword in Lorcana, Ward. That just takes her from being good to being absolutely brilliant. Merryweather sees pretty serious play in Constructed already because, of course, she sits at that wonderful 4 ink cost, so she's the perfect turn 3 play after ramping with Tipo and Sail. And that means, of course, she's just as good in Poorcana because we can play Tipo and we can play Sail. I said how well Casa Madrigal would dominate a board coming down on turn 3. Merryweather's going to do it even more. Because your opponents can't banish her, she's got Ward. So they're going to have to go head first into a 4/5. It's she's just an incredibly good card. And I think every Sapphire deck in Poorcana pretty much is going to be playing Merryweather, probably as long as she's legal in core. And I think even Infinity Poorcana, she's going to see play for a very long time to come. Until they print something even better in the 4-drop slot, I expect I'm going to see a lot of Merryweather. If you found her in your packs, great. I honestly do think this is the best Poorcana card we've had from Wilds Unknown. A 4 of in pretty much every Sapphire deck I can conceive of. Well, thank you very much for listening. I'll be interested to see, do you agree with the cards I've picked? What cards have I missed out that you think should have made the top 10? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, it's been a pleasure. And I'll see you next time for another Inkwell Remix.